New details now in Detroit's bankruptcy. The emergency manager filed a restructuring plan for the city. Specifically, it's a plan of adjustment and disclosure statement. It gives us a more specific view of cuts for creditors and how city services will be approved. 7 Action News investigator Jim Kurtzner has been following this story from day one, and you have been looking at this. Hundreds of pages in the disclosure statement, I know, and over 100 in the plan of adjustment. Jim,
this is the plan of adjustment, 120
Wow.
pages. The disclosure, the disclosure form is another 400 pages. We've been poring over this since it came out about an hour ago. But let me tell you, there is a future for the city of Detroit, a $1.5 billion investment over 10 years in improvements of city services. That includes police and fire. Let me give you some of the numbers. First of all, the fire department will have $60 million improvements over just the next 5 years. The police department will see approximately $12 million in improvements over the next 5 years of that 10-year plan. Blight is a biggie. In fact, a special statement from Emergency Manager Kevin Orr says that he will devote up to $500 million of the $1.5 billion dedicated to blight removal over the next 5 years. You're looking at some more details on the plan of adjustment. I can tell you specifically what those are. Let me pull my notes out here.
You've got the DIA art, I know, saved on there. That's been a huge topic all along, Jim.
All right, let me explain what you're looking at. The Water Department's sale or lease in this document is still a big if. You know, we've seen Macomb and Oakland County officials say they think this plan was too expensive for them to buy into it. The DIA art is saved. There will be payments into the pensions over a 20-year plan. There will be a VEBA, a Voluntary Employee Benefit Association, like we saw in the auto industry when General Motors and Chrysler went bankrupt a few years ago. This will be for employees' health care, and as we've been saying all along, it's an $18 billion debt for the city of Detroit. But here are some key specifics. There will be a 34% reduction in pension for general employees of the city. Those are the non-uniform employees. It's a 10% reduction for police and fire pensions. That's the first time we've seen that specific number. Now, there's a lot to be done in all of this. There will be voting on this. These different employee groups and creditors' classes will have a chance to digest this. Believe me, they have their experts who will help them decipher this. This is far from done, but this is the city's proposal that was required by the bankruptcy court. It's actually a week ahead of schedule. They were supposed to have it by March the 1st.
You know, just real quick, I want to go over those pension numbers again, because there's been so much focus on pensions and talk of people worried about their future and if they'd have money. We've always known reductions were coming. We didn't know the numbers. So again, for 34% pension reductions for one group and 10% for the police and fire, correct?
That's correct. And it's been a little misleading. Let's make this very clear. We've been saying pension cuts. The pensions were never completely eliminated.
Yes.
They were never gone. It's a 1/3 cut for general retirement employees and a 10% cut for the uniforms, police and fire.
Okay, but as you said, so much work has to be done. This isn't a done deal yet. Now groups have to look at it, vote on it, see, and ultimately hoping to avoid that cram down that you call it, right? Where if people can't come to agreement on this, then it's basically crammed down their throats, so to speak.
That's exactly right. It'll be up to Judge Stephen Rhodes, a bankruptcy judge. If they can't reach settlements, he would force a cram down. He would certify this plan. It could be changed, it could be altered, but ultimately it will be up to the judge. It's in court, a judge makes the ruling, and the judge could issue a cram down saying, look, this is the most money Detroit has, it's the best deal they can put on the table. Even if you don't agree, I'm going to force it, and then we're going to see appeals. And that's another important point. We saw breaking early this morning, just after 9 o'clock, where this whole bankruptcy case has been accepted by the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals down in Cincinnati. So this is far from over there. There will be an appeals process down there.
One final question before we let you go and read more of this stuff. We mentioned the DIA art being saved. That includes then that state help of the $300 and so million.
$350 million coming from Lansing.
And foundations who put in the money as well.
$350 million from the foundations. The DIA has to raise another $100 million. So it's a pot of about $800 million that's going to the pensions.
Right.
That's why these percentages are better than expected.
Yeah, than some people probably expected. A sigh of relief, I would think, from some retirees when they hear those numbers.
But it's still a reduction.
Of course, absolutely. No one wants to hear that, but knew it was coming. Jim, thank you very much. Well,